Hey guys, it's Two here. For those who know me, and for those who don't, my name is Two and I'm the host of this new podcast called Two Cents. It's part hot takes and part COVID diary. It kind of a podcast has always been kind of in the back of my mind, and with these weird times that we're in, I thought it would be funny to kind of give my thoughts and questions about some topics that have been on my mind. Some are COVID related, some are just things that I've been thinking about for a long time. And yeah, I just wanted to document it. And then at the end, I kind of just wanted to rate my feelings on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being get me out of this hellhole, and 10 being we're going to make it. The bar is pretty low. So, yeah, welcome to my podcast. My first topic, my first hot take is something that's really dear to me. And I think it's dear to a lot of people right now, whether you are the person, an individual in this role, whether you are the individual that's indirectly in this role who feels like they are very directly related to this role, or, an outside looker. And that is weddings. It's very personal to me because I was supposed to get married earlier this March. Yes, that's right. Feels like a very long time ago. But yeah, we were supposed to get married March 28th, and it didn't happen. Imagine that. Getting that call from the vendor of our venue saying that, we can't do it. The capacity is too big. We can't do any large scale events. So, think about rescheduling. And of all the things that I thought were going to go wrong for our wedding, at our wedding, this was not one of them at all. Very far. And immediately I started crying. And I started crying when I called my mom, and her response was, well, I'm more sad than you, so stop crying. And I'm giving my mom a little bit of a hard time. She was much nicer after that, but she did say that she was more sad than I was. And, I guess she might be right. I was the first child that was going to get married in the family. So that's a pretty big deal, I think, in general, but also in Asian culture. I think there's a sense of pride when it's your first child, daughter, son who's getting married. Because they want to show off. That's ultimately what a wedding is. The parents want to show off what a great bride or groom they've produced and all the things that they were able to pick and choose and help along the way. Like, oh, I helped them pick this embossed napkin, or, oh, I helped pick the menu. I think, parents and, myself take a sense of pride in being able to hand pick those and really put a lot of thought into it. And when it basically all goes to shit, it's a little disappointing. So fast forward, I don't have a new date. I don't super have a plan except for just doing a small ceremony with our immediate family, but I still go down this rabbit hole of looking at the Knot and Wedding Wire and all those little wedding forums. And, they've definitely started changing the topics to, like COVID bride, COVID wedding, COVID groom, and how people have really started adjusting to it. Now, some on one end of the spectrum are still having that normal wedding. And I've heard some horror stories and I've read some horror stories about it. And then some on the other end of the spectrum have really changed things. There are micro weddings. There are like the Las Vegas, like wedding super quick type things are happening now. And the wedding industry is changing. And it's been really interesting kind of seeing how people are adjusting to that. One being hand sanitizers are the new party favors, and masks are at the entrance of the ceremony. And there's a lot more signage now. I think that's just across the board, but in weddings as well. And I just mentioned this earlier, but I saw this picture of these 3 different colored bracelets. It was green, yellow, red, and it was to kind of choose your level of comfort at a wedding. So green meant, you're the most comfortable with people getting close to you. Maybe you could accept a hug. And then yellow was somewhere in between where they felt comfortable 6 feet apart, but maybe not touching. And then red was, just a sign that they want to be cautious. They want to sit here and it's okay. And they're not going to be hurt if you don't approach them. So I think it's really hard trying to make those decisions of like what things you should be doing, how many people you should be inviting. Should it be indoors? Should it be outdoors? How do you enforce mask wearing? I think everyone else is wondering about that too. And how do you ask of that from your family? Because I think inevitably there's going to be someone who feels strongly that they don't want to wear it and are going to question you, but want to come to your wedding. My hot take is don't come because you're making it extremely difficult for the bride and groom to feel okay at their event. So that's one of my hot takes. Another one is stop asking the questions of what's your plan. I get it comes from a good place, and I know that you care and you just want there to be a moment of celebration, since it doesn't really seem like we're doing much of that anymore. But I guess approach it differently. Say like, how's it going? Just start off, just read the person. And maybe you want to bring up the topic of like, hey, I saw so-and-so save the date changed, or I don't know. I just think it's hard for me to even approach someone else about their wedding. So I guess that would be my piece of advice for other people who are an attendee or a bridesmaid. Just kind of wait till they approach you about it. Because I think when they're ready, they'll definitely say something. So yeah, for me, I hope that we can have a celebration at some point, not just because, all of this thought and work was put into it, but it was really an excuse for seeing my family. And, these life moments are really the only reason why anyone would get on a plane or drive 12 hours or, come see you. And I know that sounds sad, but it's true. It's between, weddings and funerals or sometimes births. So for me, it feels pretty far and few in between. So selfishly, if there is a reason that I could coax my cousins from, each side of the coast to come and celebrate and party, really, because it is a party, then yeah, a wedding sounded like a pretty good deal to me. So I hope that I can do it someday. I hope that I can see my cousins and my family and our friends someday and kind of reminisce about, that time, and also just celebrate what else is in the future. So to kind of end this and talk about what I'm thinking about for future podcast, first being rating how I'm feeling so far. I think having a good baseline is good and what I'm trying to establish. Even going into this, I didn't really know how I feel about just life and what's been happening in this COVID world we live in. It's definitely not a 1 because I think it's not a way to look at things. Sometimes it can be a 1, but not right now. And I don't think I'm a 10 because that's overly optimistic. And I just like to establish a steady, solid baseline. So I think I'm going to give this first podcast and how I'm feeling overall an 8. And a big reason why I kind of wanted to put a number to it or rank it in some way is so that I can look back and think about whether or not there was some sort of pattern associating between my ranking and like what's been going on in the world or what's been going on personally. I think right now, a lot of times we just default to that fiery dog that says this is fine. And I think we've all felt that in some shape or form at some point during this 2020 year. Um, but not all the time. And I think that's the key thing, is that I don't think we feel that way all the time, and it's not the majority of the time either. And so this is my way of kind of getting a quick snapshot of where I'm at, and also just to really recognize that it's going to be okay and we're doing okay. So an 8 for this podcast. And yeah, what to expect next? What else am I going to give my hot take on? Did I even give a hot take on the weddings? I don't know. You let me know. But a few things that I would like to give hot takes on are chocolate chip cookies. I know that that's a big topic in my life. What could my hot take be? You'll find out. Pens. For those of you who don't know, I am a serious pen snob. Always have been, and I have a lot of things to say about it. And one of my other things that I've kind of been thinking about on the horizon is Vietnamese food. During COVID, I've been cooking a lot. I'm a Vietnamese American, proud of it, and I've been cooking a ton of Vietnamese food lately. So how do I feel about it? What do I see? What are my favorites? What are my not favorites? And yeah, all that yummy good stuff. So that's what we can look forward to. And if you have any other ideas, ping me, let me know. So yeah, thank you for listening to my jibber jabber, my 2 cents, and I'll see you next time.